Our last video focused on how to develop effective content for virtual communications. In this video, you'll learn how to stay in control of virtual communications, which leads us to tip number 4.
Managing discussion effectively. This is really challenging for a lot of people right now, whether it's a small meeting with just your team or a huge meeting like I had to do recently with a lot of external people. So what do we have to do this? Well, first of all, we got to deal with the challenges. People are talking over each other. People are interrupting. Some people are talking too much. That always happens. And then others are just not talking enough, and you can't sort of get them to. They're, shy or more introverted. They're afraid to jump in, or the conversation's veering off topic completely. So here are some of the ways that we've found to deal with these challenges. First of all, you have to have, just like in a regular meeting that isn't online, you really have to have a chair and an agenda and follow it. And have the chair clearly state the purpose and the goals of the meeting so everyone's on the same page right at the beginning. And they also have to establish rules of order and state them right at the beginning. It's got to be even more structured than an in-person meeting because you can't see each other very well. I mean, you can see people on the camera if it's on. So you have to say everyone on the line needs a turn to speak. And sometimes it's helpful to say X number of people are on the line and people are like, oh, so they get it. And set a time limit for speaking. We really had to do this. And I have to say, at first, when one of my colleagues who was leading that part of the meeting, the physician on the call said, well, how long do I have to speak in this part of it? And my colleague said, 2 minutes. And the physician was shocked. He said, I can't do this in 2 minutes. Well, okay, I'll try. And he did. And he was very, very concise and probably the best he'd ever been. So time limit for speaking is really helpful. And then for Q&A or when people want to jump in with comments, they can speak when called on, or they can raise their hands, called on in the regular order, or they can raise their hands or use the chat function. Now, the latter is a little bit more difficult to handle because then you've got to worry about, have you had time for the people who haven't gone yet to go? Enough, are we leaving enough time for them? So it's really tough to manage it, but you just make a decision, stick with it, and do the best you can to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak and speak equally. What else? The chair has to stay in control all the time, ensures the rules are followed, takes control if people are interrupting. So it's not always easy, but you need a strong chair, someone who's willing to break up a conversation and jump in and say, please, let's have one conversation. Amy, you go. Then Jack, then this one. They also have to take control of people go off topic. So the purpose of this meeting, remind people the purpose of this meeting is XYZ. Please let's stay on topic. John, I believe you had a comment. And that's what you got to do. People get a little irritated sometimes, but sometimes people get irritated in regular meetings. And believe me, the vast majority of people will be a lot less irritated if you do these kinds of things because the meeting will have a lot more order.
No question, managing discussion is even more challenging when it's virtual. But with the right approach, you can keep the discussion orderly, interesting, and effective. Thanks for watching. In our next video, what to do when discussion gets a little heated, how to manage tough questions in a virtual environment. See you then.